No reticule, no outline. Oh! Okay. Got spotted. Hey? Hey? So trying to get into cover. T-49 spotted. I get spotted. No outline. Do I keep looking? Just keep my turret in his general direction because that's my strongest armor. Hint of an outline. Take a blind shot on the move, not even looking. Must have hit because he wasn't on radar. He'd fallen into stealth. And must have set him on fire. Ha ha ha! Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the WZ-120, the Tier 9 Chinese medium tank, although technically in real life it was considered a main battle tank, but yeah, this Ace Tanker is kind of a little bit cheeky because I was grinding through the WZ-120 and I've finished it. I've finished the grind. I've unlocked the Tier 10. I just don't have enough credits to buy it yet, but I was playing through this tank for the grind and I hadn't aced it and I was getting close to the end of the grind and I was starting to think maybe I'm not going to ace it before finishing the grind. Maybe it's going to turn into another curse tank. But no, we did actually manage to ace it before the end of the grind, and I'm going to give a cheeky little shout out because basically the reason I aced this tank was because I was lucky enough to be on YouTube. I was watching YouTube videos, and I'm just going to switch over to Circon's channel. I'm subscribed to Circon. I think he's a very good, very talented World of Tanks player, and I actually learn a lot from him, just watching how he plays. You know, about a month ago, I was, as per usual, just watching YouTube videos, and he posted the WZ-120 440 Alpha video, you know, again, highlights from his streams, and, you know, talked about his great Alpha, but I noticed that he'd gotten his third mark of excellence in this video, so basically he's been playing this tank a lot, in order to 3-mark it, and that may be part of the reason why I was having so much difficulty trying to pick up a flaming ace, because I was having great games in this tank and not doing the ace. I mean, I thought it should have been an ace, but as I say, watching YouTube, and I noticed that Circon was playing the tank at the same time as I was, and he was 3-marking it, and pretty much every game Circon played in this tank was a flaming ace. So yeah, that was the reason why I think maybe I was having some trouble with the final, you know, result. But anyway, he posted this video, and I said, you know what, he's just 3-marked it, so he's not going to be playing it anytime soon. So I left it a couple of days, and then decided to play the WZ-120 once, you know, Circon's results had gone out of the system, and maybe it'd be easier to pick up an ace, and believe it or not, it happened. So thanks, Circon. You know, you've finally let me get my ace. Anyway, yeah, so the 120, as I say, Tier 9 main battle tank for China, or at least on the Chinese line. But what a lot of people don't realize or don't know is that this is one of the rarest and most coveted tanks in the game. Yep, I know everyone can get this tank simply by grinding up the Chinese medium tech tree and get to Tier 9, you have a WZ-120. But it's still incredibly rare and very coveted, and you know, a lot of players don't know that they can get their hands on this tank by grinding up the Tier 9, or grinding up to Tier 9 on the Chinese tech tree, because this is a Type 59. Yeah, you're hearing me right. Yeah, I know it doesn't look like a Type 59. I know it's not the same tier as a Type 59, but it's a Type 59. Because the WZ-120 was the production name for the Type 59. When the tank went into production, it became the Type 59. Or Type 59. While it was in production, it was called the WZ-120. So this is actually a Type 59. But what are you talking about, Irish? What are you talking about? The two tanks are nothing alike. Look at the stats. Look at the tier difference. I mean, there's nothing comparable between the Type 59 and the WZ-120. I mean, it's obvious that the Type 59 is worse in pretty much every single category. And it's a tier 8 that gets special matchmaking, and the WZ-120 is a tier 9 that doesn't. But watch this. I mean, they don't even they kind of look a little bit similar here, but you know, there are differences. But watch this, guys. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to give it the stock radio, and then we're going to give it the stock tracks, and then we're going to give it the stock engine, and then we're going to give it the stock turret, and then we're going to give it the stock gun. So everything is completely stock on the WZ-120 right now. Okay, so wow. It's the same tank. Look at this, guys. Look. All right, the DPM is a little bit higher, but basically it's the same gun, same penetration, same damage. The DPM is slightly different because the WZ-120 is a tier 9 and the Type 59 is a tier 8 with special matchmaking, so the rate of fire is faster on the 120, the reload is a little bit faster on the 120, and therefore the DPM is a little bit higher. But it's the same gun, it's the same alpha, same penetration, same shell velocity, same max range, same ammo. When we come down to weapon handling, look, it's the same tank. Obviously the Type 59 slightly worse weapon handling during turret traverse, but you know, it's the same tank, and the Type 59 gets a better gun elevation and better gun depression, both of which are false. By the way, the Type 59 only had 17 degrees of gun elevation in real life and 4 degrees of gun depression in real life, but it's obviously been buffed for the game here, and that means the gun elevation is slightly buffed on the 120 and the gun depression is slightly buffed on the 120 because, as I say, it should be 17 and 4 in real life, but you know, it's worse in some ways, a little bit better in some ways, but it's the same gun. Look at the movement, it's the same tank. Again, for balancing reasons, because one's a tier 9 and one's a tier 8 with special matchmaking, the power to weight ratio is slightly different, but it's the same tank. When we look at the health and hull armor, or not the health, but the hull armor, look, 100 on front, 80 on the sides, 45 on the rear, same as the Type 59, same hull. Turret armor, stock turret, same frontal turret armor, same side turret armor, same rear turret armor. It's the same tank, and because one is a tier 9, the other's a tier 8 with special matchmaking, the WZ-120 gets more health. View range, exactly the same. Camo rating, slightly better on the Type 59, but not by much. And, you know, it's the same tank. So, you know, I don't have a Type 59 in my garage, and I'd love to have a Type 59 in my garage because it's one of the premium tanks that have been in the game the longest that I don't actually own yet. But, you know, if I want the experience of playing a Type 59 with terrible matchmaking, I can always play the WZ-120 stock. It's the same tank. But in World of Tanks, it's not quite the same tank because we can upgrade it. We can upgrade the tracks, we can upgrade the radio, we can upgrade the engine, the turret, and the gun to 122mm, and all of a sudden what we've got is a completely different machine with much better DPM, much better penetration, much better incredibly high heavy tank alpha damage on a medium tank. Of course, the rate of fire reload sucks, but aim time is terrible on the tank, but the accuracy and the gun handling is better than it is on the Type 59 with the 122mm. The gun elevation is down to 15 degrees, obviously because it's 122mm, and the gun depression is bloody awful at 3 degrees of gun depression. Much worse than the Type 59. But then again, it's a tier higher and it doesn't get special matchmaking. The movement is much better. You can see that the top speed and the reverse speed are the same as the Type 59, but it gets more horsepower. It gets a higher horsepower to weight ratio, and the terrain resistance is incredibly good. So this is a fast, mobile medium tank. What you want to see when you're playing a medium tank. The traverse speed is the same. The hull armor, because it's the same hull as the Type 59, hasn't been changed. Same armor. But the turret armor is better when it's fully upgraded. 220 frontal turret armor, 160 on the side, 65 on the rear. The health obviously is better because you're using the final turret. You get up to 1650, which is okay. And the view range has been improved to 390 from 380. So, you know, it's a slightly different beast. It's almost better in almost every single way when it's fully upgraded as a Tier 9 over the Type 59, which is a Tier 8 with special matchmaking, but that's pretty much what you would expect from a Tier 9. So fast, mobile, very, very good gun. So it seems to be good news. It seems to be a tank that I would really, really enjoy playing. We've got, as I say, good mobility. The turret armor from the front is incredibly good. The hull armor is not great, but it's angled. It's angled pretty well, so it should bounce some shots. Not as many shots as I'd like it to bounce, but it's okay. The gun can be incredible. Really, really high alpha damage, 440 damage, incredibly high. Highest of all the Tier 9 medium tanks. The camo ratings are incredibly good for the tank. So, great camo, great mobility, great gun. There has to be a downside, and there is a downside. First of all, you need a lot of free XP to unlock modules on this tank, so really, really, you should be going up the other Chinese line, the heavy line, because some of the modules carry over, but not all of them. But basically, it comes out at around 163,000 XP you're going to need. You're going to need 163,000 XP just to unlock the modules. So basically, it's a very, very long grind for modules unless you've got some of them unlocked already. The tank only has 3 degrees of gun depression, and I hate tanks. I hate most tanks that don't have gun depression. And the gun depression on this is bloody awful. Hit the smallest bump on the ground and you suddenly can't hit targets. So the gun depression, absolutely awful. While the turret armor is good, as I say, the hull armor, 100mm on front, not quite as good as the Russian equivalents at Tier 9, but it's okay. It's okay. But as I say, that gun depression sometimes means in order to get your gun on target, you can't rely on your very, very good turret armor. You've got to expose your hull, and for 3 degrees of gun depression, you've got to expose your lower glacis as well in order to get your gun on target. So it can be a little bit annoying, incredibly annoying. So, when you get onto a map that has a lot of hills, or it's definitely not a hill warrior, you basically want to be playing this like a medium tank, playing it like a flanker. The aim time is bloody awful. So, you've got heavy tank aim time because it's a heavy tank gun. You're up to about 3.5 seconds, so not good. It's not good at taking snapshots at medium range to long range, and it's even though the mobility is fantastic, it's still not quite as good as the T-54 for the Russians. But overall, if you can make this tank work, then it can be an absolute beast. And I liked it, even though I hated it in some games, depending on the map, depending on the gun depression. But overall, I think I enjoyed the tank enough to keep it. So this is going to stay in my garage, and I can always tell people, even though technically I don't have a Type 59, I do, because I own the WZ-120. So let's talk about the history very, very briefly, because this is basically the Chinese version of the T-54A, the Soviet tank. This tank came about because of a treaty, and I'm not kidding, this is the name of the treaty. It is the Sino-Soviet Treaty of Friendship, Alliance, and Mutual Assistance. That's the name of the treaty. So I'm not going to keep repeating that. I'm just going to call it the treaty. But that treaty was made between China and the Soviet Union in 1956. And basically, it was where Russia agreed, or the Soviet Union agreed, that they would help China update their tank building program. They would update the facilities and help them build a tank industry of their own. So basically, first of all, they helped them with the machinery, they helped them with the factories, and they helped them with parts. So initially, a lot of T-54A parts were shipped to China in order to aid the Chinese in building the first Type 59s. But very, very quickly, again with the Soviet Union's assistance, China were able not only to build their own parts, but start building their own tanks. So they ended up building the Type 59. While it was in development, as I say, it was called the 120, and when it went into production, it was called the Type 59. Now, basically, it was a T-54A, but it was missing a couple of important components. The first thing that was missing was the infrared sights, so it had trouble at night fighting. Another thing it was missing was the vertical stabilizers, as we call them in game, but there was no stabilization for the gun while the tank was on the move, so it wasn't as accurate and good at fighting on the move as maybe the T-54A was, but to all intents and purposes, the hull armor was very, very similar, the turret armor was very, very similar, and the guns were very, very similar because they used 100mm guns, just like the T-54A did. Now, ironically, just 14 years after the signing of the Sino-Soviet Treaty of Friendship, Alliance, and Mutual Assistance, the Chinese and the Soviet Union had a bit of a minor scuffle on the borders. It's called a border conflict in 1969, during which the PLA managed to capture a Soviet T-62. Now, on examining the T-62, they discovered that the Type 59 was getting a little bit long in the tooth. It was a little bit outdated. The T-62 had things like vert stabs, computerized firing system, infrared sights, night vision assistance. So they decided, or China decided, to go on a upgrade mission, and that led to many, many variants of the Type 59 or the WZ-120. Type 59-1, Type 59-2, you had the Type 59B, Type 59G, and multiple others, but basically most of them were simply just equipment upgrades. They didn't change the turrets, they didn't change the hull, they had minor equipment upgrades between the different variations, and then also, not only were they looking at Chinese or Soviet tanks for influence or ideas, they also looked at NATO. They looked at the development of the brand new Royal Ordnance L7 105mm rifled gun that NATO had started installing on their tanks and that America had started installing on their tanks in order to combat Soviet armor. And they decided if it was good enough for America and NATO, it was good enough for China. So a lot of the later variations of Type 59s were equipped with a 105mm L7, or at least a Chinese copy of it. What is a little bit surprising is that none of the guns available for the WZ-120 are 105mm guns, and those guns are historically accurate. What we do have is a 122mm gun, and this is not historically accurate. I couldn't find any information anywhere regarding the installation of a 122mm gun on a Type 59. Most of them, the earlier versions had 100mm guns, the later versions had 105mm guns. And a couple of the tanks that they sold to other countries like Bangladesh and Iraq had, or Pakistan and Iraq, both Pakistan and Iraq used Type 59s. The Pakistanis and the Iraqis upgraded their WZ-120s with 125mm guns, or at least some of them. Yeah, those guns aren't in game, so I don't know where the 122mm comes from. Maybe it's just for balancing purposes, but it does open a possibility of maybe getting another higher tier Chinese tank, either into the regular tech tree or as a premium. Basically a WZ-120 or a Type 59 as later variant, upgraded with 105 L7. I mean, that is a possibility that Wargaming might consider in the future. But regardless, anyway, the tank was manufactured in large numbers. There were over 10,000 of them built between 1959 and the 1980s. About half of those tanks were exported to other countries, countries like North Korea, Pakistan, Vietnam, Zimbabwe, Iraq I've already mentioned, and basically too many others. Bangladesh is another one, too many others to name, but roughly about 10,000 were manufactured, about half of those were exported, and the other half, it's reckoned that at least 5,000 Type 59s or Type 59 variants are still in existence today, still in service, up as recently as 2015. They reckon that there are about 5,000 Type 59 or Type 59 variants still in service. So the Type 59 led on to the Type 69 and the Type 79, both are which pretty much the same tank. The Type 69, Type 79 are pretty much the same turret, same hull, and again, it's really just same gun, same 105mm gun. It's really just electronic and vision assistance, firing assistance, equipment that's changed on the different variations of the T6 or Type 69 and Type 79. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the history. As I say, this is a Type 59, except it comes with a 122mm gun, which I can find absolutely no information about. So finally, we are on the move. We are going, and we are here on... there's the tank names, there's the name of the map, which I can never remember. It's Fjords. I'm top tier. I'm the only tier 9 tank in this game, apart from the other tier 9 on the enemy team, a Waffenträger Panzer IV. 2 tier 9 arties on either side, and everyone else is tier 8 and tier 7, and it's wonderful matchmaking. And as a result, being the only top tier tank other than arty, I am going to be rather aggressive. So you can see our Type 64 is on the way, and yeah, okay, T-44 is on the way. I'm going to swing around this rock, get spotted, but nice shot in the move. This tank is not amazing at shooting on the move, even though the stats say it is, but I'm trying to help the Type 62. Okay, I've got plenty of assistance here. Our Type 64, just 2 shots. 2 shots, so we've done 628 damage. So in the meantime, another light tank here managed to save the Type 64. A Comet's come up to support. And we're going to use terrain features. Our gun depression is horrible, so we're going to use terrain features here to try and get more gun depression out of the tank. We're just sneaking up, and oh, SU-152, get a nice shot into him. Alright, A44, SU-152 is a one-hit kill, believe it or not, 466 if I can get a high roll, slightly high roll. Comet's going to work against the RU-251, but SU is hanging back. I'm just wondering, trying to use terrain resistance, yeah, our terrain features. Get a nice shot into the RU-251, and he goes YOLO, so... and gives me a free kill while I'm still on a reload, but that means I've reloaded and then I just waste the shot in the A44, so millisecond too late to kill the A44, but SU-152 goes down, and yeah, we're up to almost 2k damage here, 2 kills. Could have been 3 kills, but just a millisecond too slow with my shot. And I'm looking at the enemy team and I see the Waffenträger Panzer IV, the other tier 9 tank on the enemy team, is on the 2-3 lines. I'm also seeing that there is no one on our team on the 2-3 lines. So I figure that we've got to sweep up here. We've got to deal with the north and then come back and deal with the south. So I'm wasting my time here. And I realize, as I'm rammed by the Type 64, and I could have had a shot, I realize that the RT has been pretty much left undefended now. I get spotted, unfortunately, by that T-25 too. But RT's been left undefended, there's no one here, so I'm just going to go down, and this is the big alpha, except we roll a little bit, you know, a little bit low, just leave him on 14 hit points. Alright, SU-14-2 misses, but I'm sensing a Pascucci's, and the M53-55 has just missed, so we take him out first. Alright, SU-14-2, there's still another RT. I'm trying to stay on the move, but I've got to stop and aim because the aim time is bloody awful. So just readjusting to try and get a shot in here. And we take him out, and I just sat still for too long. There goes over half my hit points. That guy did 900 damage to me. It wasn't even a direct hit, but we get a little bit of revenge. Our Pascucci's take out the 3 enemy RT. So we've done it. We've won the north of the map, and now we've got to head back down south and deal with all the tanks coming up. The 1, 2, 3, 4 lines are going into town. KV-4 rolling into spawn, the Lev has gone down to deal with him. 416's on low health, gets taken out. So yeah, it's just a matter of coming back and defend. We're winning very, very comfortably. The score is 12-5. So just swinging around, and as I say, we're on 5 kills, but it wasn't a very, very difficult game. It was a very, very fortunate matchup, the way it worked out. And I've got a lot of thanks to give to Circon, because basically I wasn't playing this tank because it was starting to annoy me regarding the ace, but when I noticed that he wasn't playing it anymore, then I decided, you know what, I'll give it another go, and that's what I did. We ended up with this game, so put a shot into the Waffenträger. Now I'm moving in, and as I say, yeah, look at that gun depression. Look at it leaping into the air as we were going over uneven ground, and it causes me to miss the shot in the Waffenträger. I'm on 5 kills, I want 6, so we're side scraping. And you can see how bad the aim time is. The aim time is just awful, so we track the IS-6 in place. I'm looking for kill number 6. But, nope, not getting it. Come on, where's kill number 6? So IS-6 is not looking at me, and we miss our Top Gun. We track the IS-6. The shot goes into his track, so no Top Gun for me. So yeah, first ace tanker and only ace tanker so far in the WZ-120. I finished the grind about 2 or 3 games later, and I put the tank into reserve because basically I don't have credits for the tier 10, and I've decided to keep it because it's annoying regarding its gun depression, and it's annoying regarding its hull armor, especially compared to Soviet tier 9s, but it's, I don't know, there's something about this tank, there's something about its mobility, there's something about that alpha damage that appeals to me. And as I say, I don't own a Type 59, and this is the closest I think I'm ever going to get to owning a Type 59 by owning it as a WZ-120 at tier 9. So we picked up the Ace, we picked up the Bascuccis for taking out the 3 enemy arty, picked up high caliber, and I'm a little bit salty I didn't get a little bit luckier, or didn't get a little bit more aggressive in order to pick up the Top Gun, but hey, those things happen. So this was a regular game for me, and it wouldn't have been an ace had it not been for Circon finishing the tank and getting his 3 marks of excellence and moving on to another tank, because this wouldn't have been an ace a week earlier, or 2 weeks earlier, or earlier on in the month. This wouldn't have been an ace, but 3,464 damage done, 5 kills. Doesn't seem an amazing result, but it was enough to pick up the ace. Almost 2k assistance damage, as I say, 3k, 3.5k damage, and hits received 3, and we managed to bounce 2. So the armor can be very, very good, you know, when you can keep it hull down or when you don't give up your lower glacis, but just the hull armor from the front is not amazing. There are plenty of tanks that have no problems going through it, unless, or even if you're well angled. So we spotted 4, damaged 8, destroyed 5, and ended up with 16,000 credits because I was running some, what is the premium consumable for the Chinese? I have no idea, but I run premium consumables on this tank because the aim time is one of the biggest problems that you can actually address. You've got to stick divert stabs on the tank, you've got to stick either vents or coated optics, or not coated optics, the gun laying drive in order to reduce the aim time. You can also get crew skills, and you can also use premium consumables. So I've done pretty much everything I can get to get the aim time down on the 120. And when I did, it was, as I say, it's not a great tier 9, but it's definitely not one of the worst tier 9 mediums in the game. It's perfectly playable, perfectly balanced, a little bit annoying, but when it works, it works. It's quite fun. So anyway, WZ-120, first ace in the tank. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.